Hey folks, Ed here. Thanks again for joining me on Zen Family Projects. Now today, I'm going to introduce you to my 2015 Ford F-150. This is what I use to pull this Imagine 2800 BH camper right here. And in order to make that a more comfortable ride, I have added an airbag system to the rear of my truck. What I'm talking about today is the airlift system that I have in this truck, what I'm using, how I'm using it, and why I think it might be the ultimate airbag setup for towing. So let's get into it. All right, guys, so here it is. What I think might be the ultimate airbag setup for towing a camper. This is a VIAIR 88P compressor teamed up with a rough country controller and airlift airbags underneath. I'll show you those in just a minute, but let's talk about the business end up here, what's actually going on. So this rough country controller pairs with an app on my phone, and it allows me to set the specific PSI that I want the airbags to run at. This controller will then control this compressor, which then sends all the air through those lines and down to the airbags. Now, none of this stuff is meant to work together, but the reason that I have this set up this way is because with this, not only does the rough country controller automatically control the compressor so that if I do have a leak somewhere, which I actually do have a small leak, it's really minor and I had a hard time finding it, so rather than go through all the stuff to try to repair it, I just let the controller take care of it for me. So when I start the truck up, if there's any disparity in what I want between what there actually is, it'll automatically kick on the compressor and fill those bags back up to where they're supposed to be. So, but not only that, does the rough country controller control everything for me, but I can actually disconnect this VIAIR from the rest of the system and clip it onto my battery terminals and use it to fill up any tires that I've got. It'll fill up the tires on the trailer because this VIAIR 88P actually has a maximum PSI of about 100 PSI, and those trailer tires are about 80 PSI. So it's got to work at it, but it will fill those tires up. And of course, with 80 PSI or 100 PSI available, it'll do the tires on the truck, no problem. So if I have a problem on the side of the road, I can just disconnect this bad boy from the rest of the system and use it to air up my tire, which is super convenient. And I've actually already had to use it a couple of times. All right, guys, now for this video, I'm gonna be kind of lazy and not actually take my wheels off so you can see what's going on. But I can get you kind of back here and you can see the airbag right there. It just sits in between the frame and the axle of the truck, and it airs up or airs down depending on what I ask it to do. And that in turn will raise or lower the back of the truck. It's pretty simple. There is an extensive how-to video on how to install these. It's not hard. Any DIYer can do it themselves. Yeah, I had it done in just like an hour on my truck. There's really nothing to it. Yeah, it's a great kit. I highly recommend it. I will put a link in the description to where to get these airbags. Okay, so let me show you the fun part. If I ever want to use this outside of this system, all I have to do is disconnect it. So, I disconnect there. That disconnects the compressor. Quick little disconnect here just to keep it from rolling around back here. Disconnect my air line. Take off the hose, and now, I'm ready to go. And all I got to do is hook this up to there, plug that on to any 12-volt battery, and this puppy is ready to air up any tire on any vehicle that I need to use it for. Hooking this back up is a snap, and then it's ready to air up my airbags again. While I got this out of the way, let me show you some of the hookup stuff that I've done here. Now, obviously, these lines are the ones that go to the airbags. I've got, I'm not sure if you can see this or not. Yep, okay. These are just to check and verify what the actual pressure is. So even though that the app on the phone tells me what the pressure is, I can hook an air gauge up to those and verify. that that's what the pressure is, so that's what those are there for. This obviously is the controller. It's actually pretty small. I'm really impressed with it. This is the wiring harness. I had to cut this and do some custom wiring here to this relay. So part of the problem is that this thing here is designed to work with rough country compressors that are for airbags. Now, obviously, this compressor here is not a rough country. All right, guys, let's try this again. My camera cut out because it's in the sun in New Mexico. And, oh, I don't know, it was probably around 130 degrees. So it cut out to save its own life, which I can appreciate. In the meantime, I went and got some water to save my own life. All right, so let's go back to it. As I was saying, this is the rough country controller. Now, it's not designed to use an airbag like this VIAIR. It's designed to use rough country equipment. So the output for this to turn that on is only about 15 amps, but that thing needs about 20 or 30. So what I had to do was use a relay to turn that on direct from the battery of the truck. And in a minute, I'll go up to the front and show you how I've got that wired. But basically, I just ran a wire from the battery all the way back here through the frame, up through the front of the bed, and then down underneath all this stuff here, comes out here, comes in here to this relay. This triggers the relay, which then turns on and sends power to the compressor, which then runs the airbags. So the wiring is actually fairly simple. It looks really crazy complicated, but all it really is just wiring the rough country stuff to this relay. Just got to get the ground to the right spot, get the power going to the right spot, get the trigger going to the right spot, and that's all there is to it. And then when I want to hook this back up, I just plug it back into the power here, and away we go. All right, so we go to the front. I'll show you how I have it wired up by the battery. So there's a specific for the Ford F-150 2015. There's a specific spot in the fuse panel up front that you can use that will be triggered when the vehicle comes on. So I didn't want this to have power all the time, because the way that this works is if it detects that the airbags are low, it automatically kicks on and will fill them back up. And this thing sucks down quite a bit of power, so I didn't want this airing up my airbags every, even 10 or 12 hours if the truck sits that long and the airbags deflate just a little bit, because like I said, there is a very small leak going on here that I haven't found yet. So I wanted to make sure that this didn't come on while the truck was just sitting and not running. So what ends up happening, and it works out perfectly, is that when I turn the truck on, if the sensor inside the rough country detects that the airbags are low, it kicks on the compressor, fills them back up, and I'm good to go for that trip. In the meantime, the truck is running, so it's not actually sucking any power out of my battery to run the compressor. So, and I'll show you exactly on this truck where I plugged in to get that kind of a power source. On another truck or a different vehicle, you'll have to figure that out on your own, but it's not hard. Schematics can tell you exactly where that stuff is. So go take a look. Okay, so let's give you a look at what's going on under the hood. I've got this wire loom here, which I don't know if you can see or not, goes down under the truck. It goes through the engine bay here, down under to where the frame is, and runs along inside the frame all the way back to the bed. That loom contains a power wire and a trigger wire. It comes out right here. Of course, my power wire goes directly to the battery, right there with a fuse. It's a 30 amp fuse, because that's what the compressor needs. And then this trigger wire, remote wire, goes over to a fuse holder here, add a fuse. And let me see if I can get you in here where you can see it. On the F-150, that is fuse number 97. And that one comes on with the ignition. So that's what acts as my trigger to turn the entire system on. And then if the rough country detects that the airbags are low, it kicks on the compressor and fills them up. All right, guys, there you go. What I think might be the ultimate best airbag setup for a half-ton truck trying to tow a camper just like that one. Now, keep in mind that an airbag setup like this is not going to increase the amount of weight that you can tow. It's not going to increase your payload capacity. It's not going to make towing an unsafe trailer safe to tow. What it's going to do is it's going to make towing a safe trailer more comfortable. It's going to reduce the amount of porpoising, the up and down movement that you get when you go over bumps or over bridges. It'll reduce some of the side-to-side motion as you're going through curves or as you hit uneven roadways, that kind of stuff. It's fantastic for that. It just makes the ride way more comfortable. It also helps level you out if your weight distribution hitch doesn't quite get you there. But you have to be careful with that, because if you use airbags on top of a weight distribution hitch, sometimes you can reduce the effectiveness of your weight distribution hitch. If you've got questions about how that works, you're gonna wanna stay tuned, because one of my next videos is gonna be an in-depth, and I mean down to the technical nitty-gritty, about exactly how a weight distribution hitch works, how it interfaces with airbags just like these, and how that whole system interplays together when you raise the airbags, lower the airbags, with and without weight distribution, the whole 9 yards. Again, I'm hoping to get with CAT scales to do some of this experimentation on one of their certified scales. I haven't heard back yet, but I'm really hoping to get that done. If not, I'll figure something else out and we'll go from there. But you do want to stay tuned for that. So again, I love this setup. I love how I can take the compressor off and use it to air up any tires that I need to for safety. It's a mishmash of parts, but really by the time you're done, the cost is not that much higher, or even higher at all, than it would be to buy one of these kits out of the box. And an out of the box kit is nowhere near as effective and usable as this. It's not as extendable as this is. So I really love the way that this works. I will put all of the parts that I used and all of the bits and pieces that made this happen down in the description below, so that you can check that out for yourself. If you have any questions about how I did this that are more technical and in-depth than what I've shown here in the video, reach out to me and let me know. I'd be happy to do an even more in-depth video, or maybe even do a write-up and put on my website how I did this, and we'll go from there. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching. If you think you learned something, if you like what you see, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out. I'm really trying to get this channel going and get the subscriber count up there. So if you could do that for me, I'd really appreciate it. Don't forget to check out my other channel, Bono's Garage, where I work on my truck. If you like my kind of content, head on over there and give me a like over there and subscribe there too. So anyway, again, thank you guys, and we will see you next time.